Alright, welcome back to more of this Half-Blood. In the last one, we went over the quest of Keep Away. But now, we are off to Odd's New York adventure. It didn't go so well. Spoiler alert. So Odd finally smacked himself to reality. Oh, salty ice cream. Oh, salty ice cream Snickers. I don't know why I said that. Oh, salty ice cream Snickers. I'm still here. It's sea salt ice cream, actually. I'll fix that in the short story I made for it, but whatever. I didn't actually add this part. I probably should add this part to the short story, actually, but you know what? I'll just forget about it. So she lurks because she don't know what to do. Freaking laughing face, probably because of my salty ice cream Snickers. So he stops for a second and laughs to himself. Like anybody don't notice I haven't come back yet. You know, it's that Leo effect, I guess you could say. He lifts off into the air and flies to Camp Half-Blood. Except, psych, plot twist, doesn't actually happen. You got Emily hanging out with Jax here, which is Chris's hellhound. Clark and Meridia still flirting it up, I guess. Here we go. Here we go. Here we are. This is the first of 4 of Odd's adventure in New York. Although the 4th one technically doesn't take place in New York, it's him finally reaching Camp Half-Blood. Either way, it's the ending, it's the conclusion of the story. This is the intro, as you could say. So this is what it originally is right here. And after we get through all 4, okay, I mean, I'll show it on the screen. You can read the rough draft of it, which is basically this. So this is where the Thunder Zone comes in, by the way. So they're still doing their thing. Dessa doesn't know where to go. You know, finally, Emily has the wherewithal to actually question where I'm at. Nobody knows where I'm at. She's the first person. She's the first person of 2, I think, to actually question where I am, my whereabouts is. Otherwise, it's like I never existed. You know what the greatest thing about this is, though? There's nobody to respond to me. Nobody has to respond to me. Nobody can respond to me, actually. That's the greatest thing. Wanna know why? Because that means nobody can ignore me. That's such a sad thing to say. Here's the second one. I have to click on the see all if you want to see the rough draft. Because, okay, there we go. Here's the rough draft. Here's the rough draft of part 2 of Odd's adventure in New York. There was, fun fact, there was no dialogue whatsoever in this one. Only one to have no dialogue in it. That's a fun fact right there. You can pause it and read it, but we're gonna move on. They're talking about his weapons. Meridia, you know, out of character, says, "Well done, Odd." I don't even know what. Why am I talking like this? I don't know. She says, "Well done." That's a very long and descriptive, and I read it. I hate to do this, but, you know, the English writer in me that wants the grammar proper had to point this out, is that that's a very long comma, descriptive comma, and I read it, you know. That's how it should be formed. But I hate to be that guy. So, okay, and then I'm like, well, I gotta give you updates on little old Oddie from New York. So she laughs at that. Back to roleplay. She goes, same. And I say, don't need to ask, just go back to roleplay, especially for short-term, out of character comments. Okay, I wrote this at like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m., one of the two, and I actually thought that said out of comments, and so I was going insane, thinking, oh wow, that was redundant, and then I realized, oh, no, it's not dum-dum, that's out of character comments, it's completely fine. So, either way, I was still going insane. She goes to cabin 3, but sees them flirting or whatever and having a moment, so she leaves, you know. She says something in his head. No, she says something in her head. He responds to it. She's like, it's in my head. Dude, delete it. Delete. As the famous Matt Hardy would say. So, they get to talk more about his weapon, his new weapon. He says it was inspired from Ruby, RWBY, Ruby Weiss Blake Yang. I haven't watched it, so I don't know. I guess those are the main characters. Don't know who's who. Whatever. Here's part 3, though. You know what? Part 3 is the longest. Part 3 is the longest. Are you seeing this? It goes from, well, of course, odd, all the way to Odd's eyes widened. You know, you can pause it and read this if you want to read the rough draft. And then you go, here's Odd's eyes widened, and then we got all this extra stuff from WoW to War Off. That's a lot. Again, pause it if you want to read the rough draft. That's good. That's fine. I'm not. It's cringeworthy for me, just because it's like me just trying to get it out there in the roughest form possible. It's the idea, but I elaborated on it. I fixed it. I hope I fixed it and made it better in the blog I made for it. So she says, LOL, Odd, that's funny. Everybody else pretty much ignores it. I said, I'm assuming you liked it. Yes, I dud liked it. Yes, I know it's did, but the I and you right next to each other. I understand the mistake. It's okay. I understand when you comes before the I, because I understand the issues there. It's happened to me before. She comes in, sees my huge paragraph, is like, oh my lord, and it's like, that's part 3 of 3 in the Odds New York adventure. And so she gets sad, but we convince her to join. She's an Aphrodite kid. She gets those two to kiss, I think. And here's part 4 of 4. This is where we can finally go to the blog. This is the rough draft. I don't have to click on it. That's all of it right there. You know, if you want to read the rough draft, this one is the most cringeworthy because it has the worst typos of all 3. Somehow, some way, the longest one didn't, but this one right here, probably the shortest, possibly, is literally the one with the biggest typos, the worst typos, the typos that make me cringe and cry at night. Okay, now if we go to my blog here, or my thing, I haven't been on Half-Blood Amino in a really long time, which is probably why. As you can see, I have this, you know, and they're all very low liked, not very liked at all. And then we get in the book ones, which are a bit more liked. And then we get back again to not being liked a bit. Holy crap! Success. I think that's the only one to be successful, because again, not successful. Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard Sword of Summer review, success. You know, the Percy Jackson review, success. Okay, the King Chronicles, success. Greek Gods, success. Yes, Greek Heroes, not a success. Greco-Roman 2, we know them, not a success. Hunger Games number 6, Riordan verse, huge success. Biggest success. Just an average day in New York short story, not a success. Complete failure. Okay, it's like I started again. Wow, that's literally tied for my least liked thing on here. Maybe I should just never do a short story ever again. Either way, we're gonna read this. As you can see, I put the Titans cursor in the background because it has Blackjack. You know, Pegasus is quite relevant. Okay, but we're gonna read this. As Odd was flying over New York, he got lost in his head when lightning struck near him. His Pegasus kicked him off, whining in fear, and booked or jet streamed off as fast as it could back to camp. Luckily, a tall building wasn't too far below him. That being said, it was still a good 20 feet below him, maybe even a little more. He landed and rolled backwards several times. After he stopped rolling, he groaned and rubbed his head. He sat up, fixing his bangs, and looked to the sky with his arms raised. Why? Wait, is this all about Thunder Zone? Some booming sounded. He pointed one arm at the sky several times. Alright, I get your warning, big guy. He stopped, fearing if he continued that sentence, an electrical barbecue would ensue. I mean, Lord Zeus. He then looked down, mumbling some choice words to himself, as another boom sounded. He raised his hands in defense. I swear I didn't say anything about you, man. Only the Pegasus. He stayed sitting for a minute, waiting to see if it was clear for him to move. He grunted, pulling himself up, and fixed his hair. Well, this is gonna be fun. With a sigh, he started to trudge down the building. That was the very first one, by the way. That was part 1. Here's part 2. Odd winced as he finds his way down this massive building. The worst part wasn't even fighting the newfound pain in his legs and back all the way down. Courtesy of everyone's favorite god, well, if you ask Zeus himself, that is. It was all the awkward conversations and excuses he had to make to the workers as to why he was on top of the building. He eventually made it down after convincing a lot of worried adults he wasn't doing anything illegal up top. Also, No, let's not worry that we have an injured teen on our roof, but instead worry about the roof's integrity. Once on the street, things weren't any better, seeing as the streets of New York wasn't a very safe place to be for a demigod, let alone a child of the Big Three. Odd kept walking, trying to ignore the awkward and unsettling stares he was getting. To be fair, he didn't know if they were staring because of his injuries or if they were a monster sizing up for their next meal. Either way, he didn't like it, so he hobbled as fast as possible. Well, of course, Odd wouldn't be so lucky to have just some stranger stare at him for the latter. No. It had to be a mix of it all, of course, meaning some monster was trying to size him up for his next meal. He walked for what seemed like an hour, dodging in and out of stores to avoid monsters, trying to see where in New York he was at. Not to mention the part about trying to lose the monsters was near impossible at the limping pace he was going. He realized he wasn't that far from Camp Half-Blood, and his face lit up. He limped faster, and just as he was about to cross the street to get that much closer to camp, the unthinkable happened. Okay, so maybe not the unthinkable really, but some seriously suckage luck does. Like, what was happening? Did Zeus pay off Heb to give him some bad luck? A monster shoved him into the alleyway, sending him stumbling back. He eventually tripped and fell on his butt. Just great. Hey guys, nice to see you, but if you wouldn't mind... He tried moving past the monster that shoved him in, only to be shoved right back. Just then, two more monsters appeared from the shadows of the alleyway behind him. Odd looked back, noticed them before turning back to the first monster. Well, this is a trashy situation. Could I offer you a limited time deal? After he said it, he immediately kicked the trash can into the monster number 2, unsheathing his sword from his necklace. After his sword formed to its full size, he slashed it, killing the useless monster number 3. You know, the one that wasn't trapped underneath the bucket of trash. So, he then turned around just in time to see the first monster charge him. He dodge rolled out of the way, watching him crush the second one into dust. Odd's eyes widened. Wow, ever think of trying out for a football team? As soon as he said it, the monster snarled at him and backhanded him all the way into a brick wall opposite of the alley. He smacked hard, almost taking the breath out of him, and landed hard on his left leg. He got up to his hands and knees. I'm gonna take that as a no. The monster charged once again, and he mustered enough energy and strength dodge roll out of the way. Okay, he mustered enough energy and strength to dodge roll out of the way, but this time when he turned around, he was met with Odd's sword spelling doom for the monster as he slashed up and came down, spiking it in the face for good measure. He sheathed his sword back into the necklace and stood tall as well as he could, favoring his left leg and holding his back. Well, that was the first game of back alley football I've ever done. Hopefully it'll be the last. He fixed his bangs while he limped out of the alley and across the street as fast as he could. He rushed through the woods using trees to help him along the way. He finally made it back to camp. Luckily this time, he avoided further disaster as no monsters appeared or followed him. Who knows, maybe Heb's bad luck already wore off. So, once Odd had made it, he dropped and crawled up the hill, feeling too lazy to limp up it. Once he reached the top, he rolled over and laid there, closing his eyes. After a minute, he felt something nudge him. Whoa, what in the sea salt ice cream? Okay, I had a typo in salt, apparently. Sucked. What in the sea scott ice cream was that? Okay, his eyes bolted open and he saw the Pegasus that bucked him off in New York. The Pegasus whined a bit, nudging him a bit more. Oh, really now? Is that how sorry you are? He said with an incredulous face. Well, excuse me if I don't buy your excuse, he said, putting an emphasis on the you in excuse. He then used the horse to help himself up and limped the Pegasus back to the stables. The Pegasus walked slowly to compensate for his speed. The Pegasus whined once more. Odd flung his head back and exasperated. No, Odd flung his head back exasperated, not exasperated. Alright, calm your horses, I accept your apology. And that was the end of Odd's adventure. If you go to Half-Blood Amino, be sure to like it. I put a lot of time and effort in it. Okay, but that's not where it ends. Again, like I said, she got them to kiss. But after he put the Pegasus in, he limped all the way to cabin 3. He limped straight in and headed towards his bed, hardly paying attention, even somewhat mumbling to himself. She says, yeah, sure. Meridia sees me. She's like, you okay, bud? Essentially. Tessa asks me if she should help me to the infirmary. I'm somewhat out of it. I'm somewhat out of it. Takes him a minute to realize anybody has said a word to him. He sits up, wincing from the pain in his back more so than the pain in his leg with that kind of movement. Oh, what? Oh, that's right. Long story. Not important. I'm fine. Tip-top shape. And he just fell back laying on the bed because, he's out of it. So this is where Meridia pretty much completely ignores Odd. Focuses on Ava and Clark. She looks at Odd. You sure you don't want to go to the infirmary? And so I put a thumbs up. I got to this bed after all that in New York. And I'm not leaving this bed. And he meant it. And so there's a bunch of screaming. Odd rolls over, and that's pretty much it. So I hope you like that. That was Odd's little quest in New York. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you give this video a like. Comment if you will. That'd be super special awesome. Subscribe, that'd really help me out. And again, if you really like these videos, be sure to let me know in the comments, and I will try my best to do this with more moments that stand out to me. Okay? So, as I was saying, ta-ta for now.